Do you ever wonder what things would be like if you had just made one little change? Like, one small thing could just make everything so different. I think this video encapsulates that thought. Usually I make a clip about how when I was about 17 years old, I started dating this guy that was really not good for me. And that same night, I was like dressed to the nines at this art show, and I met this other guy. And he was an artist, and I think he was just a little bit older than me. And I distinctly remember thinking like, yeah, that guy was totally into me. I wonder what would have happened if I would have gone off with that artist. It probably would have been terrible because I was young. And in life, we need experience. A lot of the things I've learned over the years, especially through therapy, is that we get to make the choices. We get to decide. And then we have to own it. I think in certain circumstances, and I will speak specifically to my situation when it comes to motherhood and being married, that while circumstances are what they are, it's really difficult when you lose autonomy and when you lose the ability to make your own choices. I always talk about this big breakdown that me and my husband went through, and I don't talk about it a lot, but when I refer to it, I usually say I had a nervous breakdown or the time I went crazy. And then I'll usually make another joke after that and say the second time. Because the first time, we didn't make enough changes. Which is weird because there was a lot of change happening at the same time. During the first time, my husband had just gotten a job. And my son was a little over a year old. We just finished nursing. And right when that happened, I became really sick. I was sick for a year. I didn't know how to cope. So I acted out like I always do. And it usually involves me taking a quick trip to Texas. Came back home, and then things just kind of went back to normal. The one thing I was really grateful for during that time is that I had just found a church, and that also meant I met a bunch of women who were in the same season that I was in, which made it easier in a lot of ways, but, people and baggage and expectations. And then we had a pandemic, and I got to be a homeschool mom where I was with my kids 24/7. Well, at the time, I didn't recognize it because I genuinely liked just being alone with the kids. There were a lot of unhealthy expectations and things that were placed on me that I kind of allowed because I had a lack of boundaries. They always say comparison is the thief of joy. So if I'm looking at how other people are living their lives, I'm absolutely going to hate mine. Spending time with the kids made life a lot better. But the thing we've learned about motherhood is that if you have unresolved stuff from childhood, it's going to show up when you're taking care of the kids. And that's kind of what happened. Things were okay for a little bit, but I could feel the shift at church, and I wasn't really in a forgiving mood. But I also wasn't in the mood to take responsibility for my actions either. Then our dog died. Then we brought a baby home, and motherhood and a complete lack of autonomy was on loop. That's when we went through the second breakdown. And I'm probably not even really making a good point here, because I spent all my time talking about the first breakdown without even mentioning the second one. So this is what I'll leave you with. I didn't layer this correctly, and I didn't add enough sauce, so it sucked.